USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks, or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Tap the banner to learn more and get a quote at usaa.com/bundle. Restrictions apply.
Bettering your business takes working with the best. With the James Hardie Alliance, you gain access to leads, training, networking, and support from the #1 brand of siding in North America. Achieve new levels of success by joining the James Hardie Alliance today.
Hi, I'm Adele Nicoll, and you're listening to Anything But Footy with the latest on the Winter Olympics.
On Monday, we called it magic. Friday, today, could be fabulous, but we're not going down that route again. Shall we just wait and see what happens in the skeleton for Team GB's Matt Weston? I'm Michael.
And I'm John, and this is Milano Daily from Anything But Footy. We talk about the Olympics and the Paralympics all the time, not once every 4 years like everyone else does.
The emotions in the British ice skating camp remain a little raw after the ice dance result for Lila and Lewis.
So in this episode, we're focusing on those Team GB skaters who had a totally different night, set a season's best in just their second year among the world's elite.
Hi, I'm Phebe Bekker.
I'm James Hernandez.
Team GB figure skaters.
You're listening to the latest on the Winter Olympics from
Anything But Footy.
I caught up with them both. The full interview coming up. We've the rest of the news from the games as well, including a new twist in the so-called Ukrainian remembrance helmet.
And it may be day 7, but we've tomorrow's news today, and we have a special report from Michael on the women's bob with our exclusive audio diarist from before the games, Adele Nicoll.
Looking forward to that. This is Milano Daily from Anything But Footy. You should download, you should listen, you should follow. And most of all, you should pass it on as well. Do share the link. Let your friends, your fellow Olympic fans, maybe even those casual fans that have just discovered the Winter Games in the last few days, let them know where we are.
Hi, I'm Ashley Nelson, and you're listening to Anything But Footy with the latest on the Winter Olympics.
So after a few tough days at the start of these games for Team GB, we will begin with some great news. We're not getting carried away, but Matt Weston leads the men's skeleton overnight after the first 2 rounds. So his combined time, 152.09. The world champion set a track record in Cortina. Well, in fact, set 2 track records because he did it in his first run. And then again, he did it in his second run. Overall, he's 0.30 seconds ahead of the second place athlete. That is Axel Junk of Germany. Now, Marcus Wyatt is back in 7th at the moment. Now, the final 2 heats are this evening. We have everything crossed. And not only have we got everything crossed, but we've decided I'm going. So I'm darting from my base in Milan up to Cortina. Long car journey, heading up to the mountains today to try and go and see Matt Weston. And this morning, by the way, the British women also start their sliding campaign. As you know, that is the likes of Amelia Coltman, Tabby Sturker and Freya Tarbett.
Well, we need to say safe journey, Michael, and safe journey, Matt Weston. I think that's all we need to say this morning. As you said, we don't want to build it up too much, but have a great trip. And will you keep us up to date on the socials?
We will keep you up to date on our progress as we make our way up there. So, yeah, really looking forward to getting up to Cortina, of course, and following in the footsteps of Roger Moore, James Bond in For Your Eyes Only, and seeing Matt Weston.
Well, Cortina has been the centre of attention for the Olympic world in the last 24 hours, and an update on a story we first told you about as it was happening on the pod yesterday, and that involves Ukraine's skeleton athlete, Vladislav Hereshkevich. He was banned from competing in the event at the Olympics for refusing to not wear his helmet of remembrance for the victims of the war with Russia. IOC President Kirsty Coventry was in tears after a personal meeting with him, saying she wanted him to compete, but she also needed to protect athletes during their event from anything political. He's now appealing the decision at the Court of Arbitration for Sport, we found out last night, arguing that the exclusion by the International Bobsleigh and Skeleton Federation, the IBSF, is disproportionate, unsupported by any technical or safety violation, and causes irreparable sporting harm to him. We'll, of course, await a CAS verdict and bring you the details. But here's Mark Adams, IOC spokesman, speaking before that news about CAS, saying he was adamant this ruling is good for all athletes.
We wanted him before and after to express himself, but for that 1 minute of competition, we asked him not to make this expression. And you'll understand, by the way, that there are many reasons, many other reasons, not in this case, why we have to do this. There are, as I said yesterday, according to the International Red Cross, 130 conflicts in the world. We cannot have people making statements about those during competition. Before competition, after competition, on social media, in interviews, absolutely, but not during that time. And we also have to consider with some countries and some NOCs the pressure that is put on athletes to express views they may not necessarily agree with. And this rule, the athletes' rule, designed by the athletes themselves, gives them a safe space to compete. That is the only reason. It's not about the message, not at all about the message. It's simply about the sanctity of the field of play.
We'll be keeping an eye on that story, and for any further updates, do check out Anything But Footy across the socials. And for once, actually, I do have a little bit of sympathy here with the IOC, because I think essentially all they are doing is they are imposing the rules, and the rules were set up 3-4 years ago by a group of athletes. In fact, quite a large group of athletes, I understand, 3,500 athletes, and it was the athletes that came to this decision that we can't see, or we shouldn't allow at the Olympic Games, gestures like this. I appreciate it's an emotional, it's difficult, it's a complicated story, but the Red Cross currently tell us there's 130 different conflicts taking place at any one time across the globe. Ukraine is one of those conflicts, and the athletes, I think, were keen to put some protocols in place that not every country and every athlete can use the Olympic Games as their opportunity to maybe, put out a gesture like this one. And as I said, I think it's very complicated. It's very emotive, very emotional. I've spoken to a couple of athletes about it, and they had different views on it. One said, no, they thought the IOC was right. One said they thought the IOC was wrong. And I think that's right. There's no right or wrong answer here.
I think one of the reasons why it surprised a few people is that Russia are banned from the Olympics. So you're right about the number of conflicts there are around the world, but people have said, well, Russia have been banned from the Olympics because they're at war with Ukraine. Well, no, actually, that's not true. What they've actually been banned from the Olympics for is breaking the Olympic truce, breaking the Olympic charter. So during literally days after Beijing 2022, they did invade Ukraine. So that, a number of other things, they broke the Olympic charter. So that is what, again, the IOC would say, is that Russia are not banned because they're at war with Ukraine. Whatever you may think about it, they are banned for breaking the Olympic charter. And as they keep saying, they want to protect the athletes. They don't want to be in a position, athletes who are being told by certain leaders of the world that they have to give a political message during the Olympics. So in some ways, you can't have it both ways. You can't. It's a really difficult situation. We'll wait and see what happens. But I tend to agree with you.
Now, as you know, I've been in Milan for the first week of the Games. Yesterday, I got to ride on the very historic wooden trams. So if you go up to where in Milan the Olympic flame is burning, you can catch one of the wooden trams. So I've been using the trams extensively in Milan.
They didn't get too close to the flame, do they? Not the wooden bit.
I hadn't thought about that, but no, I hope not. I hope not. But someone had said to me, while you're in Milan, you need to go and ride on the wooden tram. So I did. And I also spent a lot of yesterday in and around Team GB and the figure skating setup. As you know, I started my day by speaking to John Ely, the performance director, and we were obviously reflecting, if you heard yesterday's podcast, on Lila and Lewis. But I went off to see Phoebe, Bekker and James Hernandez, who also competed in that competition as well. They set a season's best in the rhythm and the free dances. They did that in the Olympic final. So having met them a year or so ago for the very first time, and having been in contact with them a little bit over that, I thought it was good to go and see them, to sit down, have a cup of coffee and chat all things Phoebe and James and season 2025-2026.
Oh my gosh, I'm so tired. I had literally people knocking on my door to do media this morning and I was very tired. I think we're ready for a good rest and recover. We really left everything on the ice yesterday. And I think that just being able to enjoy the rest of the games is going to be really fun.
I was obviously in a privileged position last night. I was in the venue, but then I got to see you guys in that interview zone afterwards. And then there was a little moment when you'd finished the interviews and you just turned to each other and you just went, wow. How much of a wow moment was it?
I think it's just a moment of relief, but also happiness. There's not really, at that moment, as soon as you're done, there's not really a whole lot of thought into everything. It's just kind of raw emotion, and ultimately what we put out on the ice is raw emotion. You know, yes, we're acting, but we're also investing everything into it. And I think that when you finish and you feel like you've done a good job, it's just a feeling of like satisfaction that you were able to deliver. Because there's a lot of things that make it hard to deliver. You know, there's pressure, there's nerves, there's different environment, there's doing it on the world's biggest stage. Like, it doesn't get bigger than competing at Olympic Games. And the feeling of relief comes from, like, you get one shot, you know, you get one shot to do one thing on the ice that you practiced thousands of times, and to be able to achieve what you wanted to is very satisfying.
A season's best when it matters. That must be the thing that really brings joy to you.
You know, it's funny because, you know, the Olympics, all we plan to do, all we want to achieve, the success for us is for us to do 2 clean, great skates that we can be proud of. And yes, it was great to see those scores, but it didn't really matter to us at the end of the day. We know that we're here to just do our job and to really enjoy this experience and to look forward to the next time of our careers. And I think that the scores were just a reflection of, you know, how much work we've put into these programs, and I think it's a pretty fair result. But yeah, we're happy.
And what a 2 years it's been for you guys, from kind of juniors to being on the Olympic stage in 2 seasons. This is very much, I would imagine, just the beginning.
Yeah, we've had I'd say quite an accelerated route here. Us and I think maybe 2 other teams came through junior and made it to this Olympic stage. And like them, we're all kind of at the beginning of that journey. We're all very young in terms of ice dance. If you look at the people that won last night and were fighting for those medals, they've been around a long time. And so hopefully, I say hopefully, it's not very nice, but there'll be quite a lot of retirements, as is normal after an Olympic Games. And that puts us kind of, and those that we're competing again right now, kind of at the top. And that's really exciting to think that we'll be where we want to be in a few years' time.
How mindful are you about the impact that you've made at home in terms of the fact that figure skating in Great Britain seems to be in a really good place, and you've broken through now to the mainstream?
It's so special. I think it's hard to fully accept the magnitude of how many people watch the Olympic Games. I know we just feel like, okay, this is just a regular competition for us. You have to be quite delusional. We have to make sure we do our job. But then actually feeling the support from everyone back at home, that's when it feels so real. And just being able to inspire maybe just a few kids even to just try out figure skating, because, you know, it was such an amazing outlet for me during growing up. And, you know, I'm sure I can say the same for everyone else. It's been such an amazing way of life, and it's such an amazing way that we can share what we love with the world. And I hope that it can only inspire a few of the younger generation. Yeah.
And the younger generation are consuming their sport in a different way. They're not necessarily watching it on the television in a linear format. It's a TikTok generation, and you guys seem to be athletes for the TikTok generation.
I don't know about James.
Well, that's a question for Phoebe, but no, I mean, like our discipline and like our sport, it's evolving. You know, I think people still think of athletes before us when they think of ice dance. You know, Jane Torvill and Christopher Dean, or should I say Dame Jane Torvill and Sir Christopher Dean come to mind. And we were honoured that they were there watching last night. And I think that's something that we try to represent. We try to represent the incredible history and legacy of ice dance in Great Britain, with the view to the fact that it's a very different discipline now. And I feel like I'm really proud that I think we encompass that. And I think that in this new generation where people are consuming their media in different ways, I think we play to that, and can definitely benefit from the youth of like watching this, and hopefully we hope that our programs are kind of fun to watch and not so traditional.
I think as well, it's really special to be able to share it with such a younger generation. Like different generations watch figure skating, but I think it's so important to remember that we are human beings. We are regular. Just like I feel like still a teenager. I'm 20 years old, but I still, I still love a doom scroll on TikTok, and I love being able to just share it with just so many people who are just so invested in our lives, and I get to share like the outtakes and the things that people don't get to see, and I think that's really cool as well.
A word about Lila and Lewis, who obviously also competed last night, didn't win the medal that they said that they wanted to win. Just what's your reaction to the impact and the contribution they've made to these Olympics, to Team GB and to the sport?
I mean, there's always a lot of pressure when medal contention is thrown around. And, we've watched them over the course of our entire career every year go up the rankings, and deservedly so, because they bring an energy to ice dance that, after watching live many times now, is unmatched. They're very inspiring, and it's always a good time to watch them and just be around them as well. They're brilliant people, and it's really sad to see their raw emotion last night, but ultimately they'll be back, and they'll be back better. And medal or no medal, everyone works incredibly hard, and I know they have. And their contribution has been immense. They won a world medal last year. That is the first since Jane and Chris in 1984. And so, Olympic medal or not, I don't think their career is defined by that moment yesterday.
And the team able to throw a bit of a arm around them and a big hug now moving forward?
Yeah, we'd love to see them. We still haven't actually seen them since after the free dance. I think we really felt like we were with them on the ice yesterday. I think we were so invested, and I'm sure everyone in the country was, and still are. I think that they have done Great Britain truly proud. They've done all of Team GB proud, just being able to watch them and be able to, I think that there's something so beautiful in imperfection, and seeing us struggle. Someone said it to me once, sometimes seeing someone struggle makes it feel more real. And I think that just showing that we are athletes and that we make mistakes, but we are still human, and we will get up and we'll be stronger. And I truly believe that will be the case for them, because they're just so mentally resilient and so amazing in their willpower and their strength. So I have no doubt.
Let's finish with you guys. I posted a picture of you two and me last night on Instagram. One of my friends messaged me this morning and went, "Can you tell those guys I am obsessed?" So what is your message to the people that are obsessed with you? Watch this space. This is just the beginning.
Yeah, I think we're at the beginning of a long journey, and it feels very special that we got to share two performances, our first Olympics, that we're really proud of, and hope we made a lot of people back home very proud to see the British flag at the Olympic Games, and certainly with all of our Team GB teammates flying that flag in the next few weeks. We'll be supporting. We hope everyone else supports, and so the support is there. Let's just keep going for it.
Yeah, I think we're able to just hopefully bring people into our lives and into a story that we're trying to portray on the ice. Our whole sport is to make it look easy, and I think that just it really isn't. I think my message would be to we can do hard things, and it's just this is an accumulation of so much years and years of hard work, and if you put your mind to it, you can achieve what you want to achieve.
Phebe Bekker and James Hernandez talking to Michael, hoping for lots of retirements. I quite like that quote.
Yeah.
They're
pragmatic, aren't they?
It's fair. I mean, these are young kids. 20-year-old Phoebe saying she enjoys doom scrolling. I mean, if that doesn't put a dagger in every parent's heart, it just made me laugh as well. And what I really liked is James. They both of them speak with so much experience. James,
yeah.
It's incredible. They're young people, and what I loved is Phoebe saying you can achieve what you want to achieve with hard work. I'm going to be taking that and giving it to my son, because that is it's better than your parents telling you that, isn't it?
Yeah, I do think the figure skaters have really, really sort of cut through to the casual fans. I think I've had a number of messages, not just about Lila and Lewis. I've had messages from friends of mine. I posted a picture of Phoebe and James and myself on social media after their routine, and a friend of mine, she just sent me and said, "I can't believe you've met them. I'm absolutely obsessed." That was the word she used. She absolutely loves them. And I made a little bit of a vow to Phoebe and James, because I always get a little bit melancholy, a little bit sad when people finish their Olympic program. And the reason is that you and I obviously live and breathe the Olympics week in, week out. We do this all the time, as we always say, not just once every 4 years. But inevitably, you build up this brilliant relationship with Phoebe and James. You get to know them. You follow them on social media. You get invested in their careers. I think I met them 3-4 times this year. Spoken to them a bit more and everything else.
And had a selfie.
And more than one. And you get to this point, and then you go, well done. You have that final chat, and then they kind of disappear off into the world. And this doesn't just happen in figure skating. It happens in a lot of these sports. You build up a really good rapport with these people, but then they kind of disappear off, and we might report on them, but you don't have that level of contact with them. And I'm always very much of the feeling that we need to keep up that level of contact, which is why I continue to go to triathlons as much as I can to see the triathletes and other things as well. It's why you go to Wimbledon every year, because you just need to keep on top of this stuff. So I vowed to them that if I see them in 3 years when we're building up to the next winters and we haven't spoken in the intervening time, they should just snub me.
and it's one of the reasons why we've got the exclusive Adele Nicoll audio diary before the games, is your relationship with Adele. You've seen her at the British Athletics Championships, and you had that relationship, and I think you were commentating, and she came and helped you, but that's the beauty of what you do. You're incredible with the person and the relationships that you have with these athletes, and we all benefit from it if we're anything but footy listeners, which we all are. Before we bring you the latest news from the games and that Adele Nicoll special, so we've got Lila and Lewis, L and L. Could we have PJ for Phoebe and James? PJ and no, not PJ and Duncan, but let's start the hashtag PJ.
They are ready to rumble. I will tell you that right now. This is Milano Daily from Anything But Footy.
Instagram teen accounts have automatic protections for what teens see and who can contact them, plus time management tools. And Instagram will continue adding built-in safety features to help create age-appropriate experiences. Learn more about teen accounts and Instagram's ongoing work to protect teens online at instagram.com/teen accounts.
Hi, I'm Marcus Wyatt, skeleton athlete with Team GB. You're listening to Anything But Footy with the latest on the Olympics.
This is Milano Daily from Anything But Footy, and news from the games and disappointment for Hugh Nightingale, who missed out on a quarter-final place in the men's snowboard cross. He was moving up from third towards end heat 7 in the first round, but then he said he hit a bump on the slope and he finished fourth. The falling snow in the afternoon also changing the conditions, and after he'd qualified 10th fastest. He actually talked about that in the interview that we did a couple of days ago about how the snow does change things. The morning seedings, of course, are absolutely crucial to get you a good draw, so we'll be keeping an eye on Charlotte Banks, who goes for Team GB later, and then Charlotte and Hugh will team up for the mixed snowboard cross, and they are, of course, world silver medalists.
Curling win 2 out of 2 for Bruce Mowatt's men. They beat Sweden 6-3. Mowat said afterwards he was really impressed with how the boys have turned up to the event and just relaxed straight into it. In the first match for the women's competition, by the way, the defending champions Great Britain lost to China.
Set a British record. Do it again. Not bad for Anna Price, the 24-year-old cross-country skier. She finished 24th in the women's 10K interval start-free event, as Sweden did the 1-2 again.
Another gold for Italy. Women's Super G. Italian skier Federica Brignoni won her first Olympic gold medal of her long career. It's just her 4th race back as well since coming after a broken leg. And another gold for Italy's Francesca Lollobrigida. She won the host nation's first in speed skating at the weekend. And I was watching this one last night. She's now added the 5,000 metres title to her 1,000 metres crown. Italian TV absolutely loved it. They even broke out the TV studio for it after last night. So the best ever start to any Olympics, summer or winter, for the Italians, where you just don't see the TV studio. As I was saying on a previous episode, you don't see any presenters and pundits. It's just action with voiceover and commentators.
And sticking with speed skating, you got a bit of an exclusive yesterday as well about Elias Smith.
Yeah. So she's going to compete in the 500 meters as well. So she was down for 2 events, but it now looks as though, it's going to be 3 events. So she found out about that yesterday when I was actually with Phebe and James. That news kind of filtered through to Team GBHQ. And then she confirmed it on her social media late last night.
She'll be in action on Sunday. Breezy Johnson, the downhill Olympic champion, got a ring at the bottom of the Super G, an engagement one. Congratulations to her, a gold medal and a diamond. Not bad work for the week. And even Australia have won a gold medal. No pressure, Matt Weston. Cooper Woods was the surprise champion in the men's moguls. He'd never won a World Cup. He'd ranked 22nd in the current world standings, but he's now Olympic champion. There is hope for everyone.
And there are a lot of Australians here. You would have seen a huge contingent at the figure skating the other night for the Australian skaters. And there are lots of Australians wherever you go. This is Milano Daily from Anything But Footy. And we move on. Time for tomorrow's news today. Kirsty Muir is back on the ski freestyle slopes. This time it's the Big Air at the Livigno Snow Park.
And she's been warming up, Michael, getting away from her disappointment of finishing 4th last week by ice karting. So it is go-karting, but on ice, on the snow. And she just had an absolute blast on Instagram. So she's obviously in good spirits.
So ice karting, is that like a go-kart with wheels on ice?
It's a go-kart like you would have in a go-kart track in the UK. On ice. It's just they're just going around the corners. It's on her socials. It's well worth looking.
That is a new Winter Olympic event. We could have like a ice karting Grand Prix. That would be on the streets of Milan. Well, you'd need to ice them. Have to be on the streets of Cortina or Livigno.
Yeah, yes, well, you'll find out later when you go to Cortina. Is it possible?
Let's go to the IOC press conference and suggest that this morning. They love a weird question.
Now, Niall Tracy, who introduced this show, will hope to get going in the men's 1,500 metre short track tomorrow in the speed skating. The Milano ice skating arena, of course, is the venue. And it's also the final 2 runs of the women's skeleton tomorrow. Tabby Stoker, former, what did you say, acrobat, you told me?
Yeah, she was a trapeze artist.
Wow. And also the niece of an Olympic athlete?
Dwayne Ladejo. So, I remember working with Dwayne Ladejo when he was a Birchfield Harrier, and he's a 2-time Olympic medalist in the relays from I think Barcelona and Atlanta, and also Uncle Dwayne to Tabby. Amelia Coltman's parents also athletes as well, so cyclists in the Commonwealth Games.
Wow. Good luck to Tabby Stoker, Amelia Coltman and Freya Tarbett. And the women's final 2 runs of the skeleton will be in tomorrow. So that's tomorrow's news today. But we've got a special way to finish, Michael.
Yes, all this season we have been following the progress of Team GB bobsleigh athlete Adele Nicoll. Now, Adele has been recording some regular voice notes and regular interviews exclusively for Anything But Footy. She'll be competing in the mono bob, the first British woman to do that. And then, of course, she will go on and compete in the 2-woman bob alongside Ashley Nelson. So, for the first time, let's hear it in full. This is Adele Nicoll's exclusive story for Anything But Footy of getting to Milan Cortina 2026.
I'm not usually the person to slide into the DMs, but I saw an opportunity and I took it. I obviously knew of Ashley from track and field. I've been involved in track and field my entire life, so I knew that Ashley was probably in an exploratory phase of her career, and I thought now's the right time. And I left it completely up to her, and I thought, if you want to come and give it a go, see what it's all about. If you hate it, you can go. If you love it, You're going to stay. She always laughs now and says I tricked her because I told her she'd be really good at it and it's loads of fun. I don't know which bit she thinks I tricked her about, though, because she is good at it, so maybe she doesn't think it's fun.
Whilst Ashley Nelson arrives at Milan Cortina, having represented Team GB in the Summer Olympics as a track and field athlete, Adele Nicoll is here with ambitions to also compete at the Summer Games. She's the reigning British shot put champion.
Although I have made a switch, I haven't left my other sport behind, so I am still a dual sport athlete, and my goal is very much to be at Milan in 2026 and then LA in 2028. That's the plan. And I truly believe I'm on target for that. I just have to be really good at compartmentalising sections of my life, and right now it's all focused towards Milan. So I grew up from the age of 9 doing track and field. I went to my first World Youth Championships at the age of 16, competed internationally at all the junior age groups. And then I moved to university. I had a few years where I wasn't really sure which direction I was going in. And I think actually the same way I messaged Ashley at the right time, Misha McNeil messaged me at the right time. And she asked me to come and give bobsleigh a go in 2020.
Give it a go. The call from Misha McNeil worked out as Adele travelled to the last Winter Games as reserve with Misha and Montel Douglas. But returning from Beijing, she made the switch from brakewoman to pilot, which was her role this year as she attempted to qualify for these games, starting at the test event in Cortina. But it wasn't without its challenges.
I think the training period went fantastically. I believe that I learnt the track very well. I picked things up quickly and still lots to learn, but I'm really confident with what we did learn in that space of time. We went into the monobob race knowing that my starts were not going to be competitive due to my recent injury. So 12 months ago, I ruptured the ATFL in my right ankle, which is the main stability ligament. And then most recently, I had quite a few injuries to my right knee. I was actually just training and I put new spikes into my running spike shoe and they got stuck in the ground. So when I was running, I was still going forwards. Although I was decelerating, the spikes got stuck into the track. I had a really bad hyperextension injury as my knee went backwards as my body continued to move forwards. So there was actually a lot of different injuries that were sustained at that time, and I was put into a knee brace and was not walking or weight bearing for the first couple of weeks. And then we've had to work very closely with the medical team and the S&C team to get myself in the position that I am now, back on my feet and healthy, ready to start to build again. When we went to the 2-woman event, Ashley and I were able to put a push together that was able to get us another run, because you have to make the top 20 to get the second run. And with mine and Ashley's pushing, just making the cut and my drive kind of putting us back in the race, we managed to get that second run. So I'm really happy and proud of Ashley for giving her best performance despite me not being anywhere near full fitness right now. But I'm really happy with the runs that I put together on the track as well. I feel like it demonstrated a good amount of knowledge on the track, and I just hope that I was able to make the coaches proud and make everybody that was watching me proud. I think that it's so easy to get caught up on trying to win every race or be, top 10 in every race. But realistically, with where we are, I wasn't walking, just over 8 weeks ago. I was on crutches, I wasn't weight bearing. So I think we've had a really good turnaround. I think that we've learned a lot, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the season and then coming back in February and continuing to learn and implementing the things that we think that we nailed down in Cortina this time around.
So with the knee injury improving and the season opener in Cortina under their belts, it was off to Innsbruck.
Its reputation is that it is a starter's track. It's very difficult to find speed on the track. It's a very flat track. So we knew we were going to be disadvantaged there with where we are with the starts at the moment. So it was one of those fighting weekends. We wanted to make sure that we put ourselves in the top 20 to get 2 runs. We did that, and we just want to build now from here. I think we've come away with lots of learning with the push starts. I think that I'm really happy with how the driving is going, and we've got some good equipment, but we do need to work on our pushing to be more competitive with the best in the world. So that's what we're working on this week in Lillehammer. And yeah, we go again, and it's World Cup race number 3. What's difficult, I think, is that we are fighting on the World Cup, which is so competitive at the moment, and it is the most competitive cup in the world. And obviously there are the Europa Cup and the North America Cup, where it would questionably be much easier to pick up ranking points, but we have decided to be where we are and, you know, be confident in our abilities to compete. So we're just going to keep pushing forwards, and I will update you. Watch this space.
With Olympic qualification at stake and the need to pick up points, there was a mid-season change of strategy, and Adele entered the Europa Cup.
What we did need to do is just go to the last Europa Cup, purely because when I started the season, obviously I was in the knee brace and I hadn't been pushing hard or doing anything near to what my full training would be before I did the Cortina monobob race. So I had some really bad points from that race that I needed to get rid of, which means I needed 8 races in total, not 7. So yeah, we ended up going to the last Europa Cup purely to get the double races, because it was a double monobob race and a double 2-man race, to make sure that we were comfortably within the quota spot for the games. So I'm not sure how much you know about the quota spots, but essentially for competing in both 2-woman and monobob, it goes off of a combined ranking across all of the circuits in the IBSF. You have 3 nations that will get 3 sleds, 2 nations that will get 2 sleds, and then only 6 nations will get 1 sled. And there's a lot of single nations this year, a lot, but split across the Europa Cup, the North America Cup, and then a few of us were on the World Cup. So, you know, it was really difficult having to keep an eye across all circuits to see where we were sitting at all times. That's why we ended up going to get the last double races done, and thankfully it went very, very well. Obviously, first day was a gold in the monobob, silver in the monobob, then the next day, wider podium, 5th place in the 2-woman, and a bronze then to finish off the week in the 2-woman. So overall, we had a really great time, 4 races, 4 podiums. Yeah, that was a huge confidence boost going into the games. I think that was some of my best driving all season. I just had a bit of a deeper feeling and feedback with the driving, and I'm excited to take that through with me to Cortina now.
Confidence boosted, points acquired. Adele and Ashley Nelson were officially named by Team GB, and Adele spoke to us from the team base in Cortina.
I think it's just really nice to finally get going. It's been such a long season, and it's been a fairly stressful one with a few challenges along the way. So it's nice to finally be here. And we were talking earlier about how we have immersed ourselves into it, but we still don't feel like, you know, there's a lot of people running around like crazy, and I feel like I'm still pretty reserved because I've still got a job to do, and I'm enjoying it, but I'm enjoying the build up to the job that we need to do, and that's it. We're locked in, ready for it.
You got a busy time coming up, haven't you? There's this history-making monobob appearance, and then you and Ashley too.
I know, it's just crazy. I think I haven't really let it settle yet because, like I said, I've still got a job to do, but I know once it's all finished, I'll sit back and reflect and just be like, that was such a special moment. Yeah, creating history and becoming the first British woman to compete in the monobob event at the Olympic Games is something that wasn't necessarily on the bingo cards when I first started bobsleigh, but here we are, and I look forward to hopefully representing myself and my family and Team GB as best I can.
And the one thing I think that's come through in all the time I've known you is just the pride in being part of this team and the values that team upholds.
Yeah, definitely. I think that it's so easy to say that you align with somebody that is selecting you for teams, but genuinely, like, Team GB is a very special unit, and I feel supported. I think that I can only imagine that other nations must look in and think, wow, like, that's such a strong system where we feel like we're at home. I don't feel uncomfortable. I don't feel unfamiliar. I'm just happy. I was stood on the top of the block yesterday and I just felt really focused but relaxed at the same time. And that's when you perform your best.
How is everything in terms of the track and what you've been doing so far in terms of sort of practice and everything?
Yesterday, I was in the 2-woman, but the day before that was in the monobob, and it was nice to just get a few runs in the monobob. It is a different event. The sled handles differently. You know, I'm missing, Ashley's not in the back, so it's pretty light back there. So it's a different type of control, a different feeling. So I think that's something that I was really keen to come back and work on because I didn't really have as much time in the monobob at the test event. And we made some really good corrections. And I feel like even though we've just had 4 runs, I had 2 in the monobob, 2 in the 2-woman, I feel like we've already like fixed some things and found some better lines, some faster lines, and that's all you can hope for. You know, bobsleigh is a sport where there's so many variables that if you just focus on fixing a few things and you can do that, then that's great. That's a step in the right direction.
And just finally then, I know obviously this season you've had a bit of a challenge with the knee, but you're there, you're fit, you're healthy, you're well, feeling good.
Yeah, definitely. To be honest, Ashley last night, she said, "What did you do to your knee in the end?" And then I said to her, she was like, "Oh my gosh." And I said, "Yeah, it was pretty bad, Ash. We were not starting the season off well, but it's been a great turnaround." And it's just that keeping that faith, that trusting the medical team when they say you've got time. And I think it's so easy to think that you don't have that time because obviously as an athlete, it's only natural to want to be at your best every single race. But it's been a slow burner. We've been building and I feel like we genuinely are. I know everybody likes to plan for this and everybody likes to think this would happen, but we genuinely are in the strongest place going into the games compared to how we started this season. And that's, you know, nothing matters now. I think nothing from the start of the season matters. We're here now. We did what we needed to do. We kept fighting every single week, even when there was plenty of challenges in front of us. And had we have given up or kind of not had that fight in us, we could easily not be here, and we wouldn't be having this conversation now. So I'm really proud of the fight that we put up to get here, and I think we're in a great place going into the competition.
It's a great story, a long journey. She's been training this week on the sliding in Cortina. Hopefully you might even get to see her, Michael, Adele Nicoll, when you get to Cortina a bit later on.
Now, remember, we are here every day with Milano Daily. We have Team GB results, reaction, news, interviews, even the odd exclusive as well. It's our news from the games too and tomorrow's news today. You can find us on social media, search for Anything But Footy. If you are, like me, maybe making a long trip to the mountains today, for example, and you want some tunes,
you have to do it. You have to do it.
Check out our Spotify Olympics music playlist. This is Milano Daily. I'm not sure I'm going to be in charge of the music, but I'll see. This is Milano Daily from Anything But Footy.
Hi, I'm Eve Muirhead. I'm chef de mission. You're listening to Anything But Footy with the latest on the Winter Olympics.
With Car Guru's Discover, you can skip the filters and describe what you're looking for in your own words. Simply type what you want, and Car Guru's Discover instantly surfaces real listings that match your exact needs. It's no wonder Car Guru's is the #1 most visited car shopping site according to SimilarWeb's estimated traffic data. Buy or sell your next car today with Car Gurus at cargurus.com. Go to cargurus.com to make sure your big deal is the best deal. That's CARGURUS.com. cargurus.com.